how flying should be. That's what a Breeze guest recently said about Breeze Airways. Breeze flies nonstop to Sarasota, Bradenton, and more straight from Tweed New Haven Regional Airport. Breeze not only makes travel easy and affordable, but they offer flexible and friendly change policies, have high-speed Wi-Fi, and a premium first-class seat called Breeze Ascent. It's time you choose to fly Breeze. What are you waiting for? Book your flight today at flybreeze.com. Breeze Airways, seriously nice, in partnership with Visit Bradenton.
That's what I gotta be. That's what I gotta be. I've gotta be CSCU Chancellor. I know people in high places charging $27,000 on his P card. Beautiful, beautiful. I need a friend like that. Let's bring on State Senator Rob Sampson to talk about this and other things happening in the state. Rob, so no punishment for this?
Yeah, apparently not, Tom. I mean, I was here for the little hearing that they had yesterday where the chancellor came before, the combined committees of education, higher education, and government oversight, which I've told you before I now serve on, despite the fact that I don't think they've turned it into anything real. And he was allowed to say his mea culpas, and I would say maybe some folks said, slightly harsh words to him, and then he went about his business, and I guess that's it. A big contrast from what's happening on a federal level, for sure.
That is incredible. It's incredible. And what did he call it? Sean Scanlon called it. I think he said that it wasn't malicious or something. It's I think it was that. But anyway, stealing is stealing, Rob. I don't understand this. In the private sector, I would be whacked in a nanosecond if I was going way beyond my $50 spending limit. In a nanosecond, the controller would run down the hall.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, he should have been asked to resign, period. End of discussion. It's unacceptable. You're talking about a guy who makes over $400,000 a year. That's a crime by itself.
Yes.
In my opinion, no one in the state government should be making that kind of money. I don't care what you do. And the fact of the matter is they let him off. I mean, it was all kind of a staged event, where they acted like they were, bringing him up to answer for his crimes, but he got a slap on the wrist at best. He made a very pleasant statement and apologized, but that's it. And you're right. In the private sector, that would not fly. This person would be dismissed. Some of the behavior borders on the level of criminality. I mean, it's hard to say because all of the bureaucracy that's involved in investigating, they're saying, well, the statute's not clear, or he has some ability to go around the limits. It's like, why do we have rules like this? I mean, it ought to be clear and it ought to be defined. And when somebody breaks them, they need to be punished. And, you got to make an example out of this. Now, I fear that there are other people in state government who are going to look at this and go, look, I could probably get away with this stuff too, if that's all that's going to happen to you.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting the feeling that he didn't learn to do this himself. I get the feeling he was shown the ropes of how we do this, how we play the P card, especially clever. By the way, I'm seeing an article here that says that he got a stipend to move to Connecticut but doesn't live in Connecticut. Is that true? Do you know that?
I don't know that to be a fact, no. I've seen the same story, but I have not verified it.
Yeah. Well, what a total gig. So we've had a bunch of people actually work with me here because it's going to seem far-flung, but I have had people say in the wake of this and in what we're seeing with all the Doge things going on, how can we do a Doge audit in Connecticut? Is there anything, if not the actual Doge audit, because Elon's been turned into Hitler, of course, by many people, Chris Murphy, Bob Duff, etc. But is there some way, could something like that ever happen in state?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could happen, but it's going to take, putting Republicans in positions of power in the state, I'm afraid. Tom, I'm calling you from my office at the Capitol. I just stepped out of, I'm in 3 separate meetings at this moment, one for labor, one for housing, and one for government oversight. which frankly is a joke. I've told you this before. The Democrats created that committee this year, I think in response in many ways to DOJ, but so far it hasn't amounted to anything. We're not doing anything of any importance in there. I keep putting proposals in that are actually going to audit various state agencies, find wasteful spending, uncover things like this, and those things aren't going anywhere. What they're trying to do is hide the identities of state employees. That's what they're trying to do. That's the activity of government oversight. I just had an interview in the Housing Committee with Senators Duff and Looney. You can imagine how much fun that was. I'll be posting the video later. But they attribute every problem in the world to Trump, even though he's been in office for 3 weeks. According to them, the reason why poor people are still poor in Connecticut is because of Trump. Because the price of eggs is because of Trump. Right. It's ridiculous. And sadly, most of the people in the room agree because, those are not your typical working stiff Americans that you and I are friends with. They're, activists and people from labor unions who are pushing that Democratic narrative. So they feel free to do it here. And we've got to change that environment so that they are less inclined to do so.
We're talking to State Senator Rob Sampson. One of the ways that the word could get out is if local television media covered any of this stuff. And I have not seen one piece news coverage, one package of Cheng locally whatsoever on TV. There's nothing. It's amazing. Why do you think local media is so disinterested?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that is the number one problem we face. I put out a press release almost every day. You know that. You're on my mailing list, But the fact of the matter is that those press releases are going to all of the news outlets, TV, radio, every newspaper across the state. They never pick it up. And if they do, it's to twist around what I'm trying to put forward. I was on with Reese yesterday, and we talked a little bit about the issue of the banning of books, quote unquote, which is what the Democrats and particularly Bob Duff have characterized it as. And WTIC actually ran a story where they said that Republicans were interested in supporting people that want to ban Huckleberry Finn. Right. Now, you and I know that that's not what this is about.
Of course.
It's about books like Gender Queer and actual legitimate pornography, disgusting stuff that you wouldn't – I mean, as an adult, I blush when I see it. Yep. And, for them to do that is so unbelievably disingenuous. They edited out virtually everything I said when they interviewed me, and they put me at 2 minutes and 20 seconds in a 2 minute and 30-second story that is all the Democrats talking about the evil Republicans who want to ban books.
You've got these news directors who believe it completely, that you were just trying to get rid of books that document, among other things, the fact there was slavery, and it's so disingenuous. It's a national strategy they've had. It's just rotten and to the core. And what's going to happen at 3 o'clock? Bob Duff's going to get up in that hearing today, and he's going to tell you why it's so important that pornography be put into the hands of children. But he's going to use different language and say it's about not banning books and not banning Huck Finn, which I believe is something the Democrats have tried to ban.
Yes.
But I mean, what is it? I mean, you work with these people. What is it about the weird gender pornography that your fellow state senators want to see kids around these books?
Well, I think it's part of the fact that, politicians on the Democratic side in the state of Connecticut are beholden to the most radical far-left advocates. That's who's running the show. That's who they answer to. And, we had a hearing last Friday night about a constitutional amendment to enshrine abortions up to birth and gender reassignment surgery in our state constitution, effectively eliminating any protections that currently exist or any protections that could ever be proposed in the future. It's madness. And, the cast of characters that came before the committee and filled with such vitriol, as if somebody's trying to tear it, them individually and personally, and misinformation about, the Republican position or Trump's views on people and their freedom to pursue alternative lifestyles. My issue on those issues is about children. I don't want children to be impacted by these things. If you're an adult and you want to pay yourself for elective surgery or you want to dress a certain way, God bless you. Go ahead. Right. I could care less. I might think you're weird, but You got every right to do so. I'd stand in front of a bus to protect your right to do so. But that's different when it comes to children.
Right.
And the Democrats are very good at trying to twist that argument about, protecting freedom and things like that. And the press in this state just lets them get away with it. It's disgraceful. Yeah. I have a shorter and shorter list of actual press contacts that I'll even talk to. Because I'm like, after I've given you a story or two or an interview and you've twisted it around and cut it up so much, I cut you're off my list. So
yeah, well, they go immediately to what you said right now. They would encapsulate as you were cutting trans rights. That's what and they'll sum it up to that. Anything that's not fully affirmatively forward and radical when it comes to trans stuff is threatening trans rights. 860-522-9842. If you'd like to, we have a few minutes to talk to State Senator Rob Sampson. Rob, ready to take a call?
Yeah, of course.
Hang on 1 second. Let's see if I don't screw this up. Here we go. Let's go to Mike in Meriden. Mike, you're on with State Senator Rob Sampson. How are you?
Hey, Rob Sampson. This is great. I wanted to call yesterday about I was looking forward to the attack on the Department of Education as it comes along. There was a gentleman called earlier named John, worked 41 years, said talking about the children, everybody criticizing children. It's not the children, it's their environment. But the one thing you said was critically important, the word disingenuous. Everything they do is disingenuous because it's based on evil and just wrong. So they have to be disingenuous.
There you go.
Yeah,
Mike, hang on 1 second. Rob, you stay right there. Mike, I take here. I do this. Thoughts, Rob?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the truth is something that it seems to escape the mouths and minds of my Democratic counterparts, at least on the leadership side. I think there's a lot of rank-and-file Democrats that might be in purple districts that are really sweating things these days. They can see the culture changing around them. They're seeing popularity on the national level for Trump and Republicans, and I think they're nervous. But the leaders, they've decided they're going to double down on their crazy, wacky agenda. And, in some ways, I'm saying, good. Keep talking about this stuff because we need to expose exactly what you're all about. It clearly, nationally has blown up in your face. If we can get people in Connecticut to understand what these folks are really standing for, I think we have a chance to turn the state around.
Yeah, and remember, these Connecticut state Democrats are representing a view that less than 18% of Americans believe in. All of their issues are radical issues, and people are not buying it. Let's go to Mark in West Hartford. You're on with Rob Sampson. Good day.
So, Rob, I'm going to take a different approach, as much as people are probably thinking I'm going to attack you like a pit bull. I really need to take a different approach because what I'm seeing, and especially after Saturday's event, the messaging approach between the two parties is so extreme. I mean, the Dems are – whether or not, obviously, we don't agree with their nutty radical messaging, but there's none from the Republican Party. It's like we're freelancing. Now, I've already broken down what's wrong with Connecticut's GOP. I've attacked people individually because, call me a gadfly. I'm trying to prompt not just you, but the entire Connecticut GOP to do something different than what's going on because it's not working. So let's go back to Saturday and forget that you came or didn't come. That's not the point. You have all these individual RTCs. There should have been nothing less than 500 Republicans at that event Saturday. I would like to know, I'm unaffiliated. If I've got to do it and volunteer my time to organize Connecticut Republicans, give me an outlet, give me a way to get the message out there. I tried Friday. I tagged you. I tagged Ben. I tagged everybody. And, again, we were out there, maybe 50 of us. Some were silent. Not everybody was heckling. It would have been nice to have some leadership from the Connecticut GOP, whether it was a Matt Corey, somebody who didn't even get elected yet. You, Ben Proto, obviously I wouldn't want there, but somebody show up, not to lead the way, but maybe guide the way. But you guys got to take a page from the other side. This is unbelievable. 50 people were out there. There should have been hundreds. Trump won. We should now ride the coattails of what's going on with most of the rest of the country.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the question. Rob, go right ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can certainly appreciate what Mark is saying, although I don't really know exactly what he expects. I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's a busy time for people that are serving in the legislature. I mean, I'm here past midnight a lot of days because we have hearings and bills going on. Mark has called a number of times to call me into question both my conservative credentials, which is ridiculous and beyond reproach, to be honest with you. Anyone who's followed Connecticut politics over the last decade knows that I'm leading the conservative movement and trying to get the rest of the Republican Party to follow along and be fierce and paint bold, bright lines and make real change. I think his issue with me is that I don't respond to him on Twitter, and I got to tell him personally, it's nothing personal. I don't respond to anyone on Twitter. I drop my posts and leave. If you want to talk to me, my cell phone number's out there. I'll give it to everybody over the air.
That's it, Rob. There was you knew that at least one camera was there. A teenage sent a camera, so there's a chance to get in there to add color. If it's automatic, you're an elected official, so they're going to use you. And there's a chance to get in the story. It's obviously earned media. And, why do Republicans miss so many of these opportunities? I know you said that you've got stuff to do. I understand. I have a life on the weekends, too. They wanted me to help out with stuff, and I was driving back and forth. Tom, forgive me. I got to tell you, this is unbelievably frustrating. I have dedicated my entire life, every waking hour since I've been a teenager, to fighting for Republican politics. I've won numerous elections. I've helped numerous candidates. I'm out traveling around the state making Republicans every day, selling our ideas, going on the air. This is a part-time job as a state senator. I also make a living also. I honestly didn't know about the Chris Murphy event. I swear to God I didn't. But the issue is that I am serving in state politics. It's very difficult for me to even keep an eye on all of the thousands of bills and madness that are going through here to know what's happening on a federal level. Nobody dislikes Chris Murphy more than me. I think he's an insane person. I think his policies are completely whack. I will tell any camera anywhere that this guy is a terrible representative of this state and he should be removed from office. If people knew what he actually stood for, I think they would. And that's our job. And you're helping with that every day. I appreciate Mark, too. When Mark comes on the air, he's always doing a great job of exposing the other side for what they are. I don't agree that we should have elected Republicans showing up at town hall meetings for people like Johanna Hayes. If I was going to give it a platform to stand on the stage with her and debate her, I would do it all day long. In fact, I challenge her or Chris Murphy or anybody or Mark to a debate on the air or in front of anyone. But if you're going to be in the audience where they can shut you down, where there's a crowd of people, I will tell you, there's a lot of coverage in the Hartford Courant about a gentleman that stood up at the Johanna Hayes thing. This guy's a personal friend of mine, by the way. I know him. I didn't know he was going until after the fact. He shared it with me after. And he's a very capable person who can debate anything. He would wipe the floor with Johanna Hayes. Yes. But they made him look bad. They made him look bad because she had every advantage. But in this situation in West Hartford, I think it's just a matter of getting in the package, getting inside the 2-minute news package, one way or another, so that there's representation there. But let's go to Amy in Cheshire. I think Amy B. What's going on, Amy?
It is. I just wanted to comment and then ask Rob a follow-up question on, you hear a lot of what's the CTGOP doing? What is the message? Well, Rob will tell you, and as he has taught me, if you're waiting for someone else to do the work that you could be doing today as a Republican, do it. Don't wait. Go out there, talk about the message, talk about the policies, fight back. Today, I sent an email straight to the White House about the executive orders regarding boys playing on girls' sports teams as transgender athletes. And we have spring sports coming up, tryouts for girls. We need to make sure, as Republicans, right now, we are going, if your Democrat senator or representative in Connecticut ignores your request to follow the executive orders, you go above them. You keep going up the chain. You keep going all the way to the White House.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Thank you.
I want to know what Rob's, comments on getting our elected officials here in Connecticut to do the same, send the letters, snail mail or emails or whatever, directly to Carolina Leavitt, the press secretary, to Pam Bondi, to look into these things from a legal perspective. Rob, I'd love to know what your thoughts on that are.
Thank you, Amy.
Sure. I mean, we have partners in the White House, which we have not had in a long time. I will say that I was a little frustrated during Trump's first administration because during the lockdowns and Governor Lamont's ridiculous executive orders and so forth, I reached out over and over again to the United States Attorney General, William Barr, and he just basically blew me off. So I have a little bad taste about that. But I will tell you that I have been communicating with folks in the administration and on every subject that you could possibly imagine, from illegal immigration to the gender surgery stuff. And we're trying to pick apart, what the avenues are, both, through official channels, through executive action, and through the legal system. If there's a big story in New York actually about the Trump administration, Pam Bondi going after some money because they put people in hotels there. Using taxpayer money from FEMA, it's insanity, and also the fact that they're actually obstructing justice. They're not just
right.
Authorities on immigration; they're actually standing in the way of and obstructing it. And
hey, Rob, we're hitting the news at the bottom here, but this has been a great segment. We should do this every week. Thank you very much for answering the questions. You've still got full lines. I know you've got to get back to work, but we appreciate it. Okay.
All right, you got it, man. Thank you so much.